Well, this is Rocket League Day because it's the Elite Series. It's a Sunday. We've already had one matchup. Now, I have to make a quick apology. Stumpy, I was calling you Stumpsy, mate. You should have just said.
I've had to address you during the breaks.
I know.
Awkward, and now you brought it up in front of all the people. All the lights are embarrassed.
You love the lights. The lights are embarrassed. So, do you know what? I apologise, and to everyone at home who was annoyed by that. But listen, the thing is, we're about to get ready for Infused versus Epsilon. Can I get your predictions for this, please, Stumpy?
As I've said, I love Doomsy, I love Sebadam, and I'm going to say that I love Radio, because I may as well.
Do you?
I love the team, very nice people, and I do just think, like they said themselves, they think they're the stronger team out of this, and I'd struggle to disagree with them. So my prediction's going to be, yeah, to Infused.
Yeah, OK. And what about yourself, Johnny boy? Or should I call you Jim just to annoy you as well?
Oh, don't. Everybody. Jim, my name's not Jim. It's my initials. Anyway, it pains my heart because, you know, I'm good friends with the Infused boys as well, but I don't know. There's just something about the sort of quiet confidence of Epsilon that has me feeling that they're going to squeak a win out in this series. If Infused start well, then I could see them, you know, steamrolling. But Epsilon, if they can just get their foot in, get a game in there, I really think they're going to be the favourites, just by a hair.
OK. Well, I liked Infused actually had their sort of actual gear on rather than just hoodie merch from Epsilon. So I am going to go for Infused because I feel like I annoyed you the most, Stumpy. I'm going to pass across right now to the guys behind me. There's been a change in the cast as Shogun is joined by the one and only Mr. Onset. We'll pass it over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and a lovely job over there on the desk. Obviously, Onset joined by Shogun, the fountain of Rocket League knowledge. And we've got Infused versus Epsilon here, a fantastic game coming up. What are your thoughts on this one, buddy?
This is definitely a very big one, and the desk actually hit this nail on the head. Infused are very much a team that are momentum-based. If they start well, they'll end well. They could also start well during Game 3. The biggest problem they have, though, is they also can cut that at any point. That momentum, they either do really well or really badly. There doesn't seem to be any sort of midpoint when it comes to these guys. So the quiet confidence of Epsilon is actually going to be huge here because that is a team that looks like it's going to be solid the entire way through. So this is going to be Infused. Can they play well in their own heads? However, we are going to be looking throughout this series as well at the substitute, Radio, because he has been relatively untested, yet he is a name in the series. He was actually recently at DreamHack. Top 8 performance from him there. So it's going to be very important to see how he fits in on this team.
Well, ball is going to be moved across here. You can see on the attack early is Infused, but the ball is going to be cleared away here, but Sebadam on the rotation back. He's going to push that one back upfield. Popping on board with Alex now as he's rotating back with his team. Ball is going to be in the corner at the moment. Sebadam with the pass across, but Alex there. Smart to that one. Manages to clear that one away, and Repex is going to clear that one back into the Infused half.
And interesting to know, Epsilon, 2 of their players actually traded from Team Infused earlier on in the season. So I don't think they'll be too happy playing second fiddle. Although it did mean that they got themselves a starting roster. But now time to try and make that work out. Team Infused will spend the majority of this game on the offense, though.
On board with Alex once again. Did you think, Shogun, that's going to be an interesting thing going into the rest of this series? Obviously, the trades that went between these two teams, obviously, to form these lineups that we have. You know, you look at that Epsilon lineup, and you know, this is a team that has played together for quite a long time. Do you think that's going to come into effect as this series goes on?
Well, the big duo is to look at Doomsy and Sebadam, as he has changed his name, actually. Very happy to see that because, well, we've been joking around with that for him for a long time. But there's Doomsy, open net, open goal, open life, and there we are.
First goal of the game does go to the man that you were describing, the fan favourite from Infused, Doomsy, stealing that one in and putting that one in the back of the net. It's going to be 1-0 to Infused, so a strong start from them. Interesting, the goal left open there.
Yeah, I absolutely disagree with what Repex did there. He had time to control the ball with the front of his car, push it over into the corner, try and get some boost, and then play it up in the ceiling area. Instead, he just tapped that one straight down to Doomsy. So, as we mentioned earlier, stage nerves could be a huge thing here.
Ooh, and Doomsy then with another shot, but that one was saved there. Trying to use that backboard and push that one back into the middle. Sebadam going to rotate back, and Data is going to get the clearance. Doomsy up in the air once again, pushing that one towards, but Alex managed to get the interception there. Data pushes that one back upfield, but at the moment, Shogun, it seems like Infused have all of the pressure in this game, and they really seem to be controlling. the Epsilon half of this game.
Yeah, and you can see right now exactly what they're trying to do. This might actually be a big opportunity. Shot straight at Doomsy, though. You saw Data trying to get that to his teammate who could try and cut it straight into the net. This is Epsilon's best opportunity. But just like that right there is Rocket League. It all changes in a second.
And a bit of an overcommitment there. And as you see, it was actually Radio with the missed aerial from that player. Manages to scoop that one in. No one back on the rotation once again, and it's going to be 2-0 to Infused now.
And that's big there, right? Because Radio is the player that got the goal. The player that we are not used to seeing on this roster, getting goals, feeling confident, starting to get himself into this team is really important just in terms of not only confidence, but keeping his mechanical skill up.
So Doomsy's going to have the ball under his control now. Dribbling it forward, Demo does come in. As that player is going to be taken out, Doomsy comes back into play now. Radio going to be up for this one, trying to push this one forward. Seba down, trying to find a pass to Doomsy there, but Repex finds that one, but Doomsy is there. No one there for Infused, though, to finish that one off, and Day's going to clear this one upfield. Alex in tow. Going to be played across. Sebadan going to be contesting this one, actually going to get a clearance upfield there. Radio going to try and push this one up. Here comes Alex, though. This is the first time we've really seen Epsilon with any sort of sustained pressure. Shot does come in, but it is going to be blocked. Day's going to clear this one upfield now to Repex. Pass comes infield. Radio going to manage to get the interception there.
We can see an awful lot of Infused just inviting balls to come towards them. As soon as that ball went forward, they rotated into their own net, held pretty much everyone there. They were testing more or less what Epsilon could do with that ball, but they played it to the corner too often, made it a little bit too obvious what they were trying to do, and Infused were able to deal with it.
Radio's managed to steal this one away. Does manage to get the ball into the corner there. They can get the deflection here. Is anyone following up? No, Repex is there to clear that one away. A little bit of a nervy moment there for the guys on Epsilon once again. Doomsy back in net with Sebadam as well. Could be defending this one. Ball going to be cleared upfield here by Infused. 1 minute remaining. Doomsy comes in though with the shot, but Alex manages to get the save on the line there. Fantastic play from Alex. Trying to keep this close. They do need to get back into this game very quickly, Shogun. Doomsy manages to clear that one away. Epsilon need to make something happen.
Epsilon is really struggling to find their teammates right now. Every single time that they try and go for a play, it is an individual play. That can be anticipated and intercepted by Infused, who are only sending one player to try and intercept and another player to anticipate. And now they are down to only 27 seconds. They've got to find something. They need to find it right now and get the kickoff.
Well, it's now or never, but Doomsy's up. Repex is going to clear that one away. And at this point, if you're Epsilon, all the pressure is still coming from Infused. They need to try and make something happen here. They need to commit. They need to try and make their way back into this game. Repex here. Sebadan going to be clearing this one, and with only 8 seconds left on the clock, Shogun, that looks like it's going to be GG.
It absolutely is. Infused take their time in this game, get the early lead, and they capitalized on mistakes. We saw this in the first series earlier on today. Mistakes are key in Rocket League. Very few goals you'll see scored are down to huge amounts of skill and outplaying. A lot of the time it is a team noticing that a huge mistake just happened. They can capitalize, beating players to the ball, and an open net.
So it is going to be Infused, the fan favorites, as we were previously talking about on the desk, taking that first game. Epsilon looking a little bit shaky in that one, as you said, but it seemed like there was just a few individual plays. Who was the player that you sort of want to highlight from that game that stood out to you?
I really have to say Radio, actually.
Interesting. The new addition to the squad.
Maybe not necessarily the best player throughout the entirety of that game, but I was very impressed with his ability to just adapt to this team so well. Now, Rocket League, compared to games like CSGO, it is much easier to form an entirely new team. CSGO, you've got a lot more specific roles for everyone. Rocket League, the rotation is the same for absolutely everybody. Yes, some people have got particular styles of play that they like to go for, but general rotation is always the same for absolutely everybody. So Radio fitting in very well, picking himself up a goal. Now it's up to Epsilon. Stop the mistakes, cut them out, and really try and control those middle two boosts, because they're going to get started to be pulled back. As I almost fall off the chair right there. That wasn't too
You almost
great.
literally fell back.
I know, that was dangerous right there.
Shogun getting carried away ever so slightly on the stage at the moment, trying to fall off his chair. But game two
I thought they were locked on the floor. This was not great.
Well, we've learned something.
Yes.
Game two is about to get underway. If you're just joining us, of course, Infused taking that first game. And I want to talk a little bit more about Radio, as you said there. Must be a real confidence booster for him, as you said, to get into that game, to perform well, get his name sort of solidified on this squad for the rest of his team as well, because they're going to have a little bit more trust and confidence in him going into the second game.
Well, it's also very interesting because Infused has probably got the most depth out of any roster we have in Gfinity. Now, we already know, oh, wow, great start there by Doomsy, but once again, passing straight into their own net. Epsilon need to find something better. That touch there from Data has to find the far side of the field. Instead, hits the roof, drops straight down in front of his own net. Team Infused get the goal. And
again, it was actually Radio who was attempting to make that pass into Doomsy there. So once again, contributing to this game. Kickoff will be contested, will be pushed towards the Infused half. And Radio once again with a long clearance upfield. Doomsy trying to make something happen. Once again, Repek's going to clear this one away, but Sebanam does put the pressure on. Data with a long clearance upfield. Is there going to be a finish on this one? No, there is not. Strong pressure coming out from both teams at the moment. It seems like both teams trying to force the issue so slightly at the moment. Epsilon trying to make something happen, potentially change up from what happened in that first game. Repek's going to be trying to push this one back into the center. That is going to be cleared by Infused once again. Ball is dropping down, but Doomsy's there to clear it upfield. Repek's back on the rotation, which is something we didn't see too much on that first game, Shogun.
No, we didn't, but I think they're a lot more aware now of what Team Infused are trying to do. Team Infused very happy to sit back right now. They're leaving one player in net, one person slightly in front of the net, so they can make a save and then immediately get a clear. At that point, Epsilon usually are committing about 3 players upfield. This time around, not doing that. Only sending 2 players, leaving players like Repek's back to ensure those counter-attacking plays do not happen.
So on board with Doomsy now. Does bump that player.
Oh,
it's going to be pushed in. Radio. Doomsy just clearing the way out for Radio to come through. And once again, that man, maybe not talked about too much before this game on this Infused lineup, making his presence felt and just pushing that one into the empty net. But once again, you've got to look at Epsilon there and a potential mistake coming from them.
Doomsy, the janitor, as he was right there, moves forward, sweeps away any defense that Epsilon can put up. And that is the simplest tap-in that Infused will score throughout the entirety of this league play.
So Infused find themselves 2-0 up in this game, already 1-0 up in the series in this best of 5. And just remember, folks at home, big money on the line in this tournament, the Elite Series. First place taking down £20,000, which isn't too bad, if you ask me, you know. I'd certainly like a piece of that. And it looks like Infused are making a solid start and definitely staking a claim for that top spot. Long way to go in this series, though. Epsilon do need to get something going pretty soon, though. Being 2-0 down, it does mean they're going to have to commit and try and force the issue ever so slightly. Sebanam going to clear this one back into the center. Alex is going to be chasing this one down, but Doomsy, the long clearance once again. Day with the pass across field to Repek's. Repek's mixing his aerial, though. Sebanam going up for that one. Trying to once again make something happen here for Infused. Once again, you can just see Doomsy Shogun just hovering back. Last play on that rotation, just making sure that he's defending his goal and just making everything so difficult for Epsilon.
And the real problem right now for Epsilon is that they've struggled to get any variety in the offense they put forward. Every single play is doing as we're seeing right now. They try and use that side area, and they try and push the ball into a dangerous zone. Unfortunate thing with that is Infused can see that every single time. And when you're pushing from off a wall, very obvious where the ball needs to go. Oh my God, Doomsy! Almost turned in an absolute blinder, but right now Epsilon always coming in from the same angle every single time. They need to use the center of the field and open up some more space for their team.
Radio going to clear this one up, and it just seems at the moment like Epsilon trying to make something happen, but with this overcommitment, it's going to be so difficult. We've already seen a couple of breakaway goals coming out of Infused. They're just sitting back and soaking up this pressure, waiting for a mistake to come in from Epsilon. Sebanam going to clear this one away. See 3 players back here. Shot does come in from Repek's, but that one's not going to be good. Alex trying to keep this one alive, trying to force this one back in. Doomsy's going to go up again, but he doesn't get there, and Alex does get one on the board here for Epsilon. So some hope here for them in this game. Just a 1-goal game at this point.
That is the rule of 3 coming out to play right there for Epsilon. They had 3 chances, 3 shots. They took them. And the thing is, every time you take a shot, you force someone to jump. You force someone to save. That waist boost, that pulls someone out of position. Eventually, by the time that 3rd shot came in, Doomsy was in no man's land. He can't do anything about that. And that allows Epsilon not only a goal, but a lifeline into this game.
And talk to me, Shogun, you mentioned there about how important boosts are on the defensive side. Obviously, you need those boosts to get up in the air, to make those saves. Talk to me a little bit about how pressure can really starve people with those boosts and make it so difficult to defend.
Well, because you're constantly focused on the ball, you are having to react to exactly what your opponents are trying to do. You need to try and make sure that ball does not enter your net. That's basically the biggest possible goal. As we see Sebadam taking away a boost right there, he can play the ball, force someone to go try and save the ball, and whilst that player is doing that, he can take things away. That constricts the defensive team, means that they can do less the next time around. The only real way you can stop it as a defensive team is to get lucky and get a long clear.
Long clear does come out here. You do see the pressure coming in from Epsilon, though. They seem to have started clicking a little bit in this last few minutes. They're trying to work this one back into the middle. Doomsy with the clearance, though. He's trying to keep this one alive. The ball is contested again. It's going to be Data going up, taking the shot, but Sebadam is going to have a fairly simple save there. 30 seconds remaining in this game. Epsilon just one goal down, though. They're going to try and force this overtime if they can make something happen, but you can see here, Infused just sitting back, making sure they're not overcommitting, making things as easy as they can. The ball does go across, but no one there. Repex does come in with a shot, though. It's going to be Data trying to follow this one up. Oh, Repex just missing that one. Could have been an opportunity trying to keep this one alive. Doomsy going to clear this.
They're all out boost.
All out boost. Data trying to keep this one up, but with the clock running down, the ball is actually still up in the air. Epsilon trying to make something magical happen, but they're not going to be able to do it. It's going to be Infused taking game number 2, and they go 2-0 up in the series.
And it's our boy coming through yet again, Radio. At the very end of that match, 0 seconds remaining, ball touches the floor, it's all over. Radio sees, all right, Doomsy is out of boost, Sebadam is out of boost, and that ball is about to land in front of my net. Turns himself around, gets the push away, right into the corner, and ended Epsilon's final chance. But the biggest thing right there, as we see Doomsy turning that shot in, is Epsilon are opening up. They are starting to look more confident, and the reason why that's happening is because every single time Infused go up by 2 goals, they sit themselves back. Whilst that is a solid way of going about defense, it also allows your opponents to start thinking, right, we've got more space to work with here. We don't have to try and beat you to every single ball. We can just play every single ball and try and just get past this brick wall that you seem to have set up. Now that that's happened, Epsilon have had time to play. They're not necessarily getting challenged all that much, and they have started to warm up.
Very interesting. And as you say, you sit back, you do invite that pressure. And with that little bit of freedom, you know, you get a little bit more belief, you get that goal. But I think if you're looking at Infused and Epsilon at the moment, Epsilon have just got to keep it more solid at the start of these games. They're finding themselves 1-2-0 down within the first sort of 30, 40 seconds of these games. If they can do that, do you think that that's going to give them more of an opportunity to grow into the game a little bit?
The big thing right here is the first goal. If Epsilon can avoid giving away that first goal to Infused, who are sitting themselves back. Infused have got a perfect strategy for winning.
Yeah.
Do they have a strategy for losing? Epsilon, they need to find that out. They need to be the ones to ask that question.
Game 3 is about to go down as we are watching the kickoff once again. Infused 2-0 up in the series. Just need to close out this 3rd game to take this best of 5 and take 3 points in the Elite Series as well. Epsilon have got it all to do at this point, but as you said, Shogun, really starting to grow into this series, but is it too little too late? And that is going to be the worst possible start for them, as we were talking about, the first goal being so important. Now look at it, it's Sebadam rising to find that finish there and put Infused 1-0 into the lead.
Yeah, but it's the same issue yet again. Everyone trying to rotate back, not quick enough. Epsilon find themselves down yet again. We haven't seen Infused really rely too much on that defense until they've been 2 goals up, so Epsilon, they have to avoid that right now at all costs.
Well, Sebadam trying to force this one past Alex. Alex comes in. Ball is going to be up in the air here. Going to be an easy clear, though, for Epsilon. But as you say, finding themselves 1-0 down again, it's got to be such a heartbreaker for them as they finished that last game so strong. It was the last possible thing they wanted to happen. They are going to be dribbling this one. Oh, it does actually pop it over that player. Played it back in, but Sebadam comes in and manages to just about get a clearance on that one. So he's going to be clearing that one, but here comes Data. Can he find the finish in the top corner? But a save comes in. The pressure is still on, but he hits the post as well. Data trying to follow this one up, but finds the post once again. The pressure coming in from Epsilon is relentless, but somehow Infused managed to stay in this one.
And the big thing right there, Data thought that shot was in. He had the boost, he had the opportunity to move forward and take the shot, and that is Radio turning it in. Infused, they've done it twice before. They are going to try and do it yet again. Epsilon on the cusp of tying us up, and it is stolen from them.
Oh, that is soul destroying for them. You saw all of the pressure coming in from Epsilon. 2 or 3 shots in a row, and then Infused just soaked it up, caught them out, managed to find the 2nd goal once again. That's got to be a real, it's a sucker punch, isn't it, at that point for Epsilon. Infused just making the plays, though, when they need to.
Big thing, though, for Epsilon. It's still about 4 minutes left in this match. Team Infused cannot sit back this early. They are going to have to keep playing. They're going to have their opportunities to try and catch Infused out of rotation. But, as I said earlier, they need to do it now. Once this hits about 2.5 minutes, Infused will start to sit back.
It's currently in the middle of the field. It looks like Radio is trying to force this one forward. Data going to push this one out to Alex. Is there anyone arriving? Yes, there is, but the interception comes in from Doomsy. And Doomsy's defensive play seems to have been absolutely superb so far in this.
I think he might be the first human on Earth to ever say that about him, so congratulations on that. But you are absolutely right. Doomsy has been sat back. The entire team has been very, very dedicated right now. That is very risky by Radio, but Sebadam half rotates and keeps his team up in the lead. 3 minutes remaining, and it's starting to become clench time for Epsilon.
Ball is going to be rising above the Epsilon goal once again. Sebadam going to be contesting this one. Looks to the pass inside, but nobody is there at the moment. Long clearance is going to come upfield. You can see 2 players already sitting back on the defensive side here for Infused. They know they've just got to see this game out now. This is the last game they need to take in this series to take all 3 points and that win. Doomsy going to try and find the shot there and put them up 3-0, but that is not good. Radio going to be back again. And look at Sebadam and Radio just hanging back here, just making sure that they form that brick wall that Epsilon cannot find their way through.
Yeah, but they've managed to control their own 2 back boosts every single time. Epsilon's, their offense has been fleeting. They've really struggled to keep it going for a sustained amount of time. That's going to be 3. That could end it right there. Just committing too hard. Epsilon, they were desperate for that goal. Repex unable to get into the rotation. And there we go. Infused are just outdoing Epsilon in almost every single way right now.
Infused looking so good in this game, especially finding themselves 3-0 up at the moment. Been very convincing so far in this series. And it seems like they just managed to feel out how this Epsilon lineup were going to play almost within the first couple of minutes of the first game, and they've just rode that momentum. Apart from that couple of minutes that we saw in that second game, not much coming out of this Epsilon lineup so far. It's been all Infused at this point. Just trying to contest this one, but you know, at this point with 1:45 left, we've seen stranger things happen, but it looks at the moment like there's an open net here. Sebadam's going to follow this one in, and that's going to be 4-0. Commitment has to come in from Epsilon, and it's just going to leave an open net at some points here.
That is going to be the hat trick for Sebadam. Usually the core of the rotation for his team. He has done that, holds himself forward, knows that his team has usually been faster to the defensive rotations, and it's worked out for them. Every single time Epsilon move forward, they have to commit. Once they commit, they leave no one back. Once they leave no one back, they get themselves a goal.
At this point, it is open field for the guys on Infused. Every time they are winning the ball upfield, all of those players from Epsilon are just committed upfield. Data trying his best to get back, but Doomsy just put another one in there. 5-0 at this point, Shogun. It's a difficult pill to swallow.
Definitely is, and this is honestly not what I expected at all. This match on paper is very close. There is not a single bad player that I see on Epsilon. Maybe it's just the toothing phase. It's just getting themselves used to with each other might be a big part of this, because these are very strong mechanical players. It just hasn't stuck.
Interesting to note as well, you know, the Infused squad, they've got some LAN experience under their belts as well. It could be a factor of this Epsilon lineup, you know, the bright lights, a little bit different situation for them. Another shot does come in. Epsilon trying to make something happen here, but with a minute remaining, 5-0. Infused just playing this one out. You can see Doomsy trying to make something happen once again for his squad. And the pressure at this point still coming in from Team Infused here. Ball is going to be cleared upfield by Epsilon. 40 seconds left on the clock though, Shogun. Difficult situation, and I think we're going to see Team Infused taking this first series.
Very interesting point to note as well. Next week, Epsilon versus Reason. Both teams have not had a good starting week. You really have to be looking at that right now and just going, that could automatically be someone's season over.
Yeah.
If they cannot pick up that win there. So make sure you tune in next week for that one, because that will be a big one. But you've been absolutely right. Team Infused have dominated this series. I don't think even they expected it to go this well, but they will pick themselves up a win.
1 second left on the clock. And ladies and gentlemen, when that ball hits the ground, that is going to be it. They're looking for another one, but it is going to be Team Infused with the 3-0 sweep here, Shogun. That is a marker, in my opinion, for the Elite Series. A solid marker in the sand for me. They're looking really, really strong. And I know the guys on the desk and yourself are saying this is one of the closer games we were going to see today, but Infused just looks so strong.
Infused follow the blueprint. If they start well, they end well. They just kept ramping up in momentum. That was a case of right there is what we call the bleed effect. Something small happens, and yet the gash keeps getting bigger, bigger, and bigger. And it ended up with that final game where Epsilon just crumbled. They didn't really know what to do anymore. Infused just read them like a book, understood exactly what they needed to do. But Radio, that is huge for him. 7am and Doomsy, we are confirmed. They're going to be there every single time. But they have got a plethora of people to choose from. Yet, Radio just put up a huge performance.
Yeah.
That might very well keep him in there.
It was interesting. So I think you hit the nail on the head that the guys on the desk were saying before, you know, they've got a pool of players to select from. Why did they go with Radio?
I mean, they had such a pool of players, they had to get rid of them, and that team basically formed Epsilon.
Yeah.
That's how deep the talent roster is on Team Infused. But after a result like that, how can you possibly argue against it?
Well, it would be difficult if it comes to next week and they're like, Radio, we're not going to bring someone else in. But yeah, Radio's definitely made his mark in this series for me. And, you know, you look at that Infused lineup, the way they were playing together, I think you mentioned it, Rocket League, you know, you can slot into those roles quite nicely and quite quickly. And he just seemed to gel with his team so quickly.
So we are going to see right here the replays from the third game. 7am, you can notice here, and this is going to be a recurring factor, people on Epsilon rotating back to net. They've got no one ready there. They've got no one that can get the save. Instead, they are chasing the ball. That is a bad position to be in. And yet, every single time it happens, it allows Infused to counterattack, to play the ball faster than net, and every single time it ends up in a goal. You can see it yet again. Long ball by 7am, no one back to play against.
And I was going to ask, sort of looking forward to the future weeks as well, do you expect this sort of playstyle to come out of Infused? Something they seemed fairly comfortable with in this game, or do you think they'll potentially change it up as we see them take on different teams?
No. Consistency and Infused just do not go together. So we might see something better next week. We might see something worse. I have absolutely no idea.
Buy a Pandora's box is essentially what you're saying about Infused. You're not sure what you're going to get.
Pretty much. If you got, like, I would say, like, a coin would do it, but honestly, it's more of a dice because it's just such a range that we can potentially see from these guys. But they are doing really, really well today. That's the most important thing for them.
Well, Infused do take the first series. We're going to leave you guys at home, and we're going to throw it back to Tom and the guys over there to break it down a little bit further for you.
So I'm just catching that throw. Thanks, Onset. Thank you, Shogun. That was epic from those lads, and Onset was fantastic. Both casters were brilliant there. Such a good game to talk about. So many goals in there. At the end there, 5-0. I feel like Doomsy was just really just playing for fun at that point, which is why we love Rocket League.
Oh yeah, the casters were great, but they weren't as good as Infused. Infused were on fire. The team plays from 7am and Doomsy in particular were phenomenal. Radio stepping up with the solo goals as well. A couple of great finishes. And yeah, I was expecting a little bit more from Epsilon. I thought the underdog card would play a little bit stronger in there, or for them, but like Shogun said, the bleed effect, also known as bleeding, it just snowballed out of control.
Yeah, Stumpy, why did Epsilon not turn up today? Like, the 3 drafted players, we expected big for them, the European background, those players. What was it, just nerves today, maybe?
Yeah, that's my main thought. I mean, I thought Infused was going to win it, as did you. I mean, I hate to rub it in your face, Johnny, but, I mean, we've come out on top here again. I mean, we've done well with that.
We're all tied up now.
We're all tied up, yeah, 1-1. I do just think, ultimately, like you said, Epsilon, they just haven't got the LAN experience. They've not got the experience of crowd, of everything around them. The lights mainly.
You mentioned the lights one more time.
Yeah, I just think, honestly, that played so much into Infused favour. Doomsy, like we said, has been on stage multiple times, same as 7am. Radio, much less experience, but I think having the other two on comms, giving confidence, and having his own plays as well. Some of his goals, the angles that he managed to get out were sensational. So I do just think it was mainly the nerves. Hopefully I can come back stronger next time with this sort of experience behind them.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, you mentioned his name a couple of times there, Doomsy. We can welcome him right down to this desk. So the winning team from Infused. Take a seat, buddy.
That's all right.
I'm very well. Brilliant play there.
Thank you. Yeah, that was pretty good. It was because they're a really good team. Like, we've played with them quite a lot of times before, and they've been, you know, we've like had some very close games, 3-2s pretty much every time we played them. But today, I think just on the fact that we have more LAN experience, and I think we like are better to cope with it, I guess. And like they'd like just met each other today, so like, they'd like flown in. They're like, right, should we play some Rocket League then? Like, yeah. Okay. So I think we had a bit of an advantage.
And going from German to Swiss to Swedish as well, that's obviously going to be quite difficult in the communication. Do you feel though, Doomsy, this is a really serious question, so I need a serious face from you. No smiling.
Too late, I've already
No
smiled.
smiling.
Well,
No, we'll start again. We can start again. Do you feel like it's because you had team jerseys and they just had hoodie merch? Do you feel like that was what held them back today?
I don't know if you know this, but in the lining of our jerseys, there's like, it can really boost our performance. So I think these jerseys really helped us win. Without these jerseys, I don't think we would have won, to be honest.
Well, I definitely need a few for their guns as well. Maybe just a little padding there. So let's talk through your gameplay today. What were your tactics taking on Epsilon?
I think just play our game. I know it's like cliche, everyone says that, but it's true. We know how to play them in the past, and it's just basically do our stuff. So make sure we're passing well, communicating a lot. We communicated a lot up there, so that was really good. Probably more than we do, online. So that was probably one of the key factors of why I won, because we knew where everyone was at all times, and it was really comfortable to play.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the way you were playing with just, obviously the last game, you just began to really just look like you were enjoying it the way you played. The rotations that Johnny B and some people were talking about just looked fantastic. You were defensively so strong today.
Yeah, I mean, once we were like 4-0 up, we were like, okay, well, let's relax a bit now. Let's go for a ceiling shot. I can't believe they saved the ceiling
went in
shot.
though.
That was annoying. I was already
shot.
cheering, and they just like, Alex, I think it was Alex, came in at the last second.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, damn it.
I know.
And the layoff as well on that 5th goal for you to score was, I think, was it Radio? Someone laid it off to him, and it was just beautifully struck. It just real team play, which is exactly what you want to see, which may be what held Epsilon back today. They haven't had that experience as a team playing together. Do you think that they can improve for next week and go on?
I think, yeah, because they didn't play anywhere near as good. I don't think either of us played anywhere near as good as we do online. And I think if they can play at their usual level online, they can easily be like a top 3 team, top 4 team. They're definitely a top 4 team, but like, yeah, they can definitely play, might even make finals, to be honest.
Now, Stumpy said at the beginning that you're his boy.
My boy Doomsday. Johnny's in the way of this. John, you're sort of third wheeling a bit.
I know.
No,
I'm sorry.
Johnny,
You chose to sit at the end, Stumpy did.
Yeah, sorry.
They reckon you can go on potentially to go and win this tournament, the Elite Series. How confident do you feel about that?
Very confident. I think from the get-go, we're always like the #1 seed. It was only when Method were announced that we were a bit like, ooh, okay. And then Envious, but Envious are thankfully playing their like a substitute roster, so they're fine.
So what about if Envious bring along their A team?
Then we're gonna be like just crying around.
Fly in Devo.
Oh, why are you here? Like, just win our OCS and leave us alone. You know?
Well, we're enjoying the chat with you, Doomsy. Stick around for a second because I'm enjoying this chat. Unfortunately, we have to throw across to Ariel Free. Not unfortunately we throw across to her, but the significance and the difficulty. Whoa, guy! The difficulty that she's going to be talking to someone who is from the losing team for Epsilon. That's the difficult part.
Right. What an introduction, Tom. Thanks very much for that. I'll take that. One word, brutal. Shogun said it was like a bitter pill to swallow. Stumpy said it was the lights. What went wrong today?
Well, we lost. Just nerves. First time playing. And yeah, we were nervous, playing bad, didn't really get the good hits that we wanted to have.
Okay, and what are you going to take from this? Do you think you can come back fighting for your next round? You're going to be playing Reason next. You said earlier you're excited that they lost today. 2 losing teams. Do you think you can do it next week?
Yeah, I think we have a very good shot of winning since, well, we have the experience now, playing once, and yeah, they lost.
Dimsy mentioned that they've got like their lucky jerseys on. Do we think maybe it was the attire? Do we need to change that up a bit?
It's definitely the hoodie. It's way too hot. Otherwise, we would have won.
So next week, string vest, yeah? Yeah, that's where we're going to go for. Well, thanks so much for saying. Sorry, commiserations data. Back to Tom.
Thanks, Ariel. You know I love you, right? I was just saying it's difficult to chat to the losing team. Doomsy, we were talking to you just then about data and Repex. Obviously, in the Challenger series, obviously drafting players. You drafted data and Repex. Is that correct? Can you explain what happened with the Infused team and the theory behind that?
Yeah. So basically, we had the big list of players that we can pick, and I think it was basically Pashy at the top. Or no, Turbo at the top and Pashy, and we're like, well, yes, we're grabbing them. But they went off to another org. And then it was basically after that was like Data and Repex, and we're like, well, we're going to pick them. We're not going to get both of them because, they're both very good. So we'll probably get one. it turns out we got both of them. I was like, I don't know what the other orgs are doing, but we've got the best 2 players here, so we picked them. But because we would only give them sub spots, because obviously we're the starting roster, they got picked up by Epsilon because they could give them starting spots.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed a little bit deflated data. They didn't get the right things. The things they hoped to happen in the game didn't happen. I mean, from when you've lost in previous tournaments or games, how do you pick yourself up? How can data go and do that?
It's just like you're going to lose like a lot of games. Like you just like every game you go into, you just play. As long as you play well and you give it your all, I don't really get too mad. If I lose, but I've still played well, I'm happy, like because I performed well and I know I can keep that going. You just gotta. I don't know. The more you lose, the more you deal with it better.
The better you become, I guess.
Yeah,
you improve your game.
like, it's just part of winning.
And Stumpy, what are you and your boy going to do to celebrate his win today?
I'm going to give him a nice pat on the back. Like, well done, well done. Nice cold ice bath, I think, after this.
Yeah.
And we're going to get you right back out there next week. Okay. Yeah, I just think, I think just stronger team of the 2. It was going to happen. I was surprised at the 3-0. But I think what Epsilon need to do is, like you said, pick themselves back up, go sort of rethink, try not to whiff as many balls, and just generally attack a bit more. I think that's all their issue, ultimately. I'm just being told by the team at the moment, James, you're so confident chatting with us, you may make it into the panel.
Yes.
So
I'm in. After my career, I'll just come in. I'll be like,
Sign him up.
But I like that. It's up to people at home as well. Obviously, while we're here, and we've got you, Doomsy, talk about Endpoint and Method, and that is the next matchup that is coming up. Who do you think is going to potentially win that one? From your experience of maybe playing some of these players.
And Method aren't starting with their main 3.
Yeah, if it was Method starting 3, they'd like be favourites to win the whole tournament, but they're playing with their subs. But
I'm going to push you on this. Doomsy,
okay,
come on!
I'll go with Endpoint.
Okay.
I'll go with Endpoint.
Okay, Johnny?
Yeah, likewise. Endpoint 3-0.
I can't go with the 2, so I'm going to go with Method.
And Stumpy, I'm going with you. We'll take a quick break right now. Well done to the fantastic team Infused for just winning their last match. We'll be back in just a second for match 3, Endpoint versus Method. See you in a minute.